The orbital station Horizon 5 floated above Earth like a silent guardian. Its steel walls reflected the blue glow of the planet below. Commander Ryan Cole stood by the wide glass window, staring at the spinning world. It had been 10 years since Earth joined the Galactic Alliance. And yet, humans still surprised the other species with their strange habits. Today was another first contact meeting. The Illyrians had sent their youngest scientist, a woman named Lyra, to study human biology and culture. Ryan had read the briefcom, intelligent, cautious. He didn't expect trouble, but he had learned one thing about alien diplomacy. Even breakfast could. Start an interstellar incident. When the door slid open with a soft hiss, Ryan turned. Lyra stepped in gracefully. She looked almost human, but her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight, and her eyes glowed a soft silver. She wore a smooth, dark suit with a glowing insignia that marked her as an Illyrian envoy. Her expression was polite but cautious, as if she had entered a room filled with predators. "Welcome aboard Horizon 5, Dr. Lyra," Ryan said warmly. "I hope the journey from your ship was smooth." Lyra nodded slightly. "Your transport units are efficient," she said, her voice melodic but cool, though warmer than expected. "Our bodies are not used to such heat." Ryan smiled. "We're from a rough planet. Heat keeps us alive." He gestured toward the dining table where breakfast had been arranged. Plates of fruit, bread, and small bowls of cereal stood beside cups of steaming coffee. "Please, sit. It's a human morning custom to start meetings over food." Lyra tilted her head, studying the spread as if it were a science experiment. "You consume fuel before discussion?" Ryan chuckled. "We call it breakfast." She seated herself, hands folded neatly on the table. Her eyes followed Ryan's every move. He reached for a jug, poured white liquid into his coffee, stirred it gently, and took a sip. The moment he did, Lyra's nostrils flared. She leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. "What is that?" she asked softly. "Milk," Ryan said, still smiling. "You want some?" She blinked. "Smell it," she whispered, her voice almost trembling. "You drink this white liquid every morning." The room went silent. 2 junior officers sitting nearby froze, mid-bite. Ryan set the cup down, confused. "Yes. It's just milk." "From where?" she demanded. "From cows," he said slowly. "You know, large grass-eating animals? We raise them on farms." Lyra's silver eyes widened. "You drink the internal fluid of another species?" Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. "When you say it like that, it sounds terrible. But it's just animal milk. Totally normal for us. Been doing it for thousands of years." Lyra leaned back, horrified but fascinated. In Illyrian science, such fluid is sacred. It is life essence used only for healing or spiritual rites. To consume it as food. She shook her head slowly. "Your kind are fearless." One of the junior officers bit his lip to hold back laughter. Another whispered, "Commander, we may have just terrified the delegation with breakfast." Ryan gave them a warning glance, then turned to Lyra with patience. "I understand this must seem strange. Every species has their customs. For us, milk is a natural part of nutrition. It's healthy, full of protein." She tilted her head. "Protein. You mean the structural base of organic tissue?" "Exactly." She seemed to study him now, not the milk, but him. "Your people consume life essence for strength. Live on a planet that burns and freezes, and still build cities that touch the sky." Voice softened, thoughtful now. "I begin to understand why the galaxy fears your endurance." Ryan tried to smile. But inside he wondered if he had just insulted an entire species with a cup of coffee. The rest of the breakfast continued awkwardly. Lyra refused every drink that contained anything white. Instead, she observed, questioned, and took notes on a floating tablet that recorded everything in her language of flowing glyphs. She asked about earth animals, food sources, and even farming ethics. Ryan answered each patiently. Realizing she wasn't offended anymore, she was studying them. After the meal, Lyra requested a tour of the station. Ryan agreed, hoping to shift her attention from milk to machinery. As they walked through the long metallic corridors, She admired the construction. "So much iron and carbon," she said softly. "Our species prefers organic materials, living walls, bio-grown structures. But yours is all metal." Ryan grinned. "That's how we survive. Earth doesn't forgive weakness. You learn to build things that don't break." She turned to him, curiosity bright in her silver eyes. "Is it true your people evolved on what the Alliance classifies as a death world?" "Yeah," he said. "Gravity's high, weather's unpredictable, and just about everything can kill you. But we adapted." Lyra's gaze softened with quiet awe. "Fascinating. On Illyria, we live under calm skies. Nothing kills us unless we choose to fight. We have forgotten what survival feels like." They paused by a viewport showing Earth's below a swirl of blue and white clouds. Lyra stared for a long moment. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "But wild." Ryan folded his arms. "That's us in one word." She smiled faintly, then asked, "Do all humans drink this milk?" He laughed. "Pretty much. Kids, adults, soldiers, everyone. It's common." She shivered slightly. "On my world, we would never dare." They reached the research wing where Illyrian scientists were setting up equipment. Ryan noticed how Lyra's people moved with slow, graceful precision, while his engineers worked quickly, loudly, and efficiently. Two different worlds, trying to share one space. Later, in the communication chamber, Lyra sent a report back to her ship. Ryan didn't mean to overhear, but her voice carried through the glass wall. "Humans are not merely resilient. They are reckless by design," she said into the translator. "Their customs show no fear of contamination or spiritual taboo. They treat survival as habit, not miracle." Ryan smiled quietly. He had heard worse descriptions. When Lyra exited the chamber, she looked at him and said softly, "Commander, I have misunderstood your people. You are not careless, you are unafraid." Ryan nodded. "Fear doesn't keep us alive. Action does." That night, as the lights dimmed and Earth's shadow crawled over the station, Lyra wandered into the observation deck again. Ryan was already there, sipping from a cup. She hesitated. "Is that the same?" "Substance." He smirked. "Just coffee this time." She joined him, standing at the glass. "Your planet rotates so fast," she said. "Ours takes twice as long. Time feels slower where I come from. Maybe that's why humans seem in a hurry," he said. "We don't know how to slow down." For a long moment they stood in silence. The quiet hum of engines filled the room. Lyra's eyes followed the curve of the Earth, glowing softly in the dark. "You know," Ryan said suddenly, "we didn't mean to shock you this morning. Milk is simple to us. But I guess what's simple for one world can be sacred on another." Lyra's voice was soft. It was not offense. It was revelation. "I realized how different our minds are. You see survival as comfort. We see comfort as weakness. Perhaps both are wrong." Ryan glanced at her. Maybe both are right. She turned to face him, curiosity bright again. "Do you ever wonder if the galaxy is ready for your kind?" He smiled faintly. "Doesn't matter. We're already here." Lyra studied him for a moment longer, then nodded slowly. "Tomorrow," she said, "I would like to learn more about your Earth farms. I wish to see where this courage grows." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You're welcome any time." As she walked away, he took another sip of coffee and looked down at the blue planet. Somewhere below, millions of people were waking up, drinking milk, and starting their day completely unaware that somewhere in orbit, an alien scientist was trying to understand their breakfast by morning. The news had spread across the Illyrian networks. Every science station and embassy discussed the white liquid ritual. To them, it was a shocking mystery. Why would humans drink another species' life fluid? Yet mixed in that disbelief was something new. Admiration. The Illyrians had long believed their calm, sterile worlds were superior. But now, they spoke in wonder of a race that drank the sacred without fear. They called it the ceremony of strength. Back on Horizon 5, Ryan received a message from the Galactic Council. It read simply, Explain your species' use of animal secretions as nourishment. He sighed and rubbed his temples. I'm never drinking coffee again. Lyra entered the room quietly. Commander, my people are fascinated. They believe your milk shows a fearless nature. I tried to correct them, but they do not listen. To them, you are the species that consumes danger.
I groaned.
Great, just what I needed. Galactic fame for breakfast. Lyra smiled softly. Do not be ashamed. Legends begin in small moments.
Oh!
He looked at her, half amused, half tired. You really think drinking milk can make a legend? She met his eyes. In a galaxy where fear decides everything? Yes. And somewhere deep in space, the image of a human raising a glass of milk began to circulate among the stars, a symbol of strength, confusion, and quiet courage. Days passed since the milk incident, but it had already spread far beyond the Horizon 5 station. Across the galactic network, millions of Illyrians debated the strange human practice. Scholars called it the ritual of strength, described it as consuming life to honor endurance. Even traders joked that humans would probably drink molten lava if someone told them it. Built stronger bones, Commander? Ryan Cole had become a quiet legend among the crew. Whenever someone poured milk into their coffee, the new recruits whispered, "Careful. That's sacred now." Ryan pretended not to notice. But deep inside, he was amused and a little tired. Lyra, however, was not laughing. For her, the event had opened a door to a different kind of curiosity. She had come to study human biology. Now she wanted to understand human spirit, the reason they survived. Everything their harsh planet threw at them, every morning. She met Ryan in the observation deck, where the sunlight from Earth reflected off the metal floors. The smell of coffee always filled the air. She never touched it, but she always asked questions. Commander, she said one morning, your people live on a world with floods, storms, fire, and cold. Yet you call it home. Why not move to safer planets? Ryan took a sip of his drink and smiled. Because we learned to live with danger. Earth made us tough. If we left, we'd stop being who we are. She nodded slowly, her silver eyes thoughtful. On Illyria, comfort is our way. We avoid risk. We build perfection. But I see now. Comfort weakens the heart. Ryan glanced at her. You sound like one of us already, she smiled faintly. Perhaps curiosity is contagious. That day, she asked permission to visit the human agriculture Batha section of Horizon 5 where earth plants and livestock samples were kept for study. Ryan agreed, though he warned her that what she'd see might surprise her again. The agriculture bay smelled like soil and hay, a rare scent inside a metal station. Rows of hydroponic plants glowed under artificial light, and small animals rested in clear enclosures. Lyra stopped near a transparent tank that showed two calm brown cows chewing quietly. She stepped closer, staring in silent wonder. These are the creatures that produce the liquid. Ryan nodded. That's right. They eat grass, and their milk gives us food, cheese, butter, and all kinds of things. Lyra's face softened. They seem gentle, they are, Ryan said. They trust us, and we take care of them. Lyra looked at him, surprised. You care for the animals you consume? Yes. We respect them. That's what makes us human. She looked thoughtful again, pressing a hand to the glass. The cow turned its head toward her, blinking slowly. For a moment, the two beings, one from Earth, one from the stars, just looked at each other. Lyra whispered softly, Your world is full of contradictions, Commander. You take from nature, yet protect it. You fight, but also heal. You consume, but also give. Ryan chuckled. That's us confusing everyone since the Stone Age. Lyra smiled at his words. That was the first time she truly smiled since arriving on the station. Later that evening, she sent a long report to her superiors. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. Humans are not what we believed. They are not savages or careless life-eaters. They are survivors. They bond with the world that threatens them. They find meaning in danger. The report spread fast across the Illyrian scientific network. Some dismissed it as emotional bias, but others began to see truth in her words. The Illyrian Council requested live observation, so more delegates were sent to Horizon-5. Ryan wasn't sure if that was good news or bad. The next morning, a new shuttle docked at the station, carrying 3 more Illyrians, all wearing bright ceremonial robes. They bowed politely and said they were here to witness the ritual firsthand. Ryan sighed. "You mean breakfast, right?" They nodded with serious expressions. That morning became the strangest breakfast in station history. The Illyrian delegates sat around the table while Ryan's crew tried to act normal. A cook brought a tray of milk and cereal. Every human at the table held their spoon awkwardly. Feeling like they were performing for the galaxy, Lyra whispered, "Commander, they are taking notes." "I can see that," he muttered. One delegate finally asked, "When the humans drink this, what does it symbolize?" Ryan almost laughed. "It doesn't symbolize anything. It's just breakfast." But Lyra spoke before he could continue. "To them, it symbolizes survival. It is how they start the day with energy, not fear." The Illyrians nodded, impressed. Ryan blinked, realizing she had turned a normal act into a ceremony of courage. He decided not to argue after the meal. The delegates thanked him and promised to share the story with their world. Lyra stayed behind, a small smile on her face. "Sometimes," she said, "my people need symbols more than facts." Ryan shook his head with amusement. "You just made milk sound like a heroic tradition." She tilted her head. "Perhaps it is. You humans honor life by living it fully. We honor life by protecting it. Both have value." Weeks passed. Humans and Illyrians began working together in shared research. Lyra's curiosity deepened. She spent hours studying human art, music, and emotions. What fascinated her most was how humans turned suffering into beauty. One night, Ryan found her alone in the music room, listening to a slow piano melody. The lights were low, the stars visible through the glass ceiling. "This sound?" she said softly. "It feels like memory." "Right," Ryan nodded. "It's called music. Sometimes we play it to remember who we are. On Illyria," she said, "we erased sorrow. We believed sadness made us weak. But now, I think we erased something important too." He sat beside her. "Pain teaches us. So does loss. Without them, we wouldn't value peace." Lyra looked at him, eyes shining with a strange warmth. "You have lived in storms so long that peace itself became your victory. That is beautiful." He smiled gently. "Coming from you, that means something." Their silence stretched comfortably as the music played on. The next morning, Ryan received a transmission from the Galactic Council. It was a message filled with questions about humanity's diet, customs, and biological limits. Apparently, the story of the milk drinkers had become the most searched topic in the Alliance database. He sighed. "Great. I'm famous for lactose." When Lyra entered his office, he showed her the screen. She laughed softly, a light, melodic laugh that echoed gently. "Your people wish to be known for their technology or courage. Instead, they are known for their breakfast." "Yeah," Ryan said dryly. "The universe works in mysterious ways." She turned serious again. "Do you know what the Illyrian citizens call you now?" He frowned. "I'm afraid to ask," she smiled. "They call you the essence drinker. The one who consumes life yet gives life back." Ryan blinked. "That sounds a lot more dramatic than what I do," Lyra nodded. "But it inspires them. Illyrian youth now study human history, human wars, human survival. They wish to learn how to face fear. They say, if the milk drinkers can survive the death world, so can we." Ryan leaned back, surprised. "We started a movement by accident," she said softly. "A peaceful one." That evening, during a diplomatic event, the Illyrian anthem played through the hall, followed by Earth's own. Ryan stood on the podium beside Lyra, surrounded by officers from both worlds. The translator drones hovered above them. Lyra took the stage to speak. "When I first came here," she said, her voice calm but steady, "I saw humans drink something I thought was sacred. I judged them. I thought they were reckless. But then I saw deeper. I saw courage in their simplicity, strength in their habits. They live each day without fear, because fear wastes time. Humanity does not just survive, adapts, endures, and still finds joy in the small things. That is why they are special. The hall fell silent for a moment, then applause spread through both species. Ryan stood beside her, humbled and proud. When the event ended, Lyra approached him quietly. "Commander," she said, "do you realize what you have done?" He raised an eyebrow. "What did I do?" "You turned breakfast into history." He laughed softly. "Guess I should start charging for coffee," she smiled. "Perhaps someday we will drink together not as study partners, but as friends." He extended his hand. "I'd like that." She hesitated, then placed her delicate silver hand in his. The gesture was simple, but to both their worlds, it meant peace. That night, Lyra wrote one last note in her journal before sleeping. Humans are creatures of contradictions. They fear nothing, yet protect everything they love. Their customs may appear strange, even primitive, but beneath them lies a wisdom that our perfect worlds have lost. We sought safety and forgot courage, but perhaps through them we will remember. Outside her window, Earth turned slowly below, glowing with storms and lights. Lyra pressed her palm to the glass and whispered, "You are not a death world. You are a cradle of strength." And far away, on Illyria, her message inspired others to look beyond comfort. Schools began teaching about Earth's resilience. Artists painted humans holding cups of white liquid under burning skies. Farmers grew crops in harsher lands, saying if they can live on that world, so can we. Without meaning to, a single misunderstanding over milk had reshaped how an entire civilization saw courage. The station Horizon 5 hummed quietly as usual, orbiting Earth in its silent path above the planet. For weeks, life had been calm, almost routine. Humans had learned to coexist with their Illyrian guests. Lyra had grown comfortable in her study of human habits and biology, while Ryan had begun to understand the delicate art of alien diplomacy. But peace, as Ryan knew all too well, was never guaranteed on a death world door above one. It started early one morning. A loud klaxon blared through the station, shattering the calm. Red lights flashed along the corridors. The intercom crackled with Ryan's own voice. "Attention. Toxic gas leak detected in Research Wing 3. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat, evacuate immediately." Chaos erupted instantly. Humans grabbed emergency masks, Illyrians shrieked in alarm, and the small crew scrambled toward the nearest safe zone. Lyra froze for a moment, unsure which direction to go. Ryan saw her hesitation and ran to her side. "Follow me," he shouted, grabbing her hand. The air was thick, almost burning. The gas was deadly to most alien species, including Illyrians. Ryan's own suit shielded him partially, but he felt the sting of the fumes on his skin. He moved with practiced speed, guiding Lyra and other delegates toward the reinforced safety chambers. Lyra coughed, her silver eyes wide. "Commander, it's killing them." Ryan didn't answer. There was no time for discussion. He lifted her over a small barricade and shouted instructions to the human crew, directing them to check every corridor. Every second counted. A young technician stumbled, collapsing under the pressure of carrying a heavy containment module. Ryan was already there, grabbing the man by the arms and pulling him to safety. The gas was filling the corridor rapidly. Ryan could barely breathe, yet he continued moving, ensuring every Illyrian and human under his command made progress. Some Illyrians panicked. They screamed and tried to retreat to sections of the station not yet contaminated. Ryan intercepted them. "You will follow me. Stay calm and move fast." He barked, his voice firm, unwavering. Lyra's heart pounded as she saw him move toward a section that had already begun filling with gas. "Ryan, wait," she screamed, but he didn't stop. Her translator trembled in her hands as she tried to comprehend his fearlessness. Humans on her world would have panicked, frozen, or argued with superiors. But he moved as if the danger existed to be faced, not feared. In the contaminated section, Ryan found 3 scientists trapped behind a malfunctioning door. He didn't hesitate. Using brute strength, he forced the door open, dragging the scientists out one by one. Each time, he coughed, his vision blurred, and his lungs burned, yet he never faltered. Lyra followed him, helping where she could, but she noticed something extraordinary. Despite the danger, he kept scanning the environment for others, making sure everyone escaped first. He did not run. He did not hesitate. By the time they reached the safety chamber, the Illyrians were gasping for breath, shaking with fear. Humans helped them into breathing masks. Ryan collapsed against the wall, his suit scorched, his hands trembling from exertion. Lyra ran to him. "Commander, are you okay?" He smiled weakly, brushing dust from his suit. "I'll live. Everyone else made it. That's what matters." She stared at him in disbelief. You risked your life for them." "For us," Ryan nodded. "It's what we do. Survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about keeping others alive, too." For the first time, Lyra truly understood why the humans had survived their harsh world for millennia. It was not luck. It was courage, endurance, and a commitment to each other. Later in the infirmary, Ryan sat with minor burns and exhaustion, while medics treated the Illyrians for smoke inhalation. Lyra stayed beside him, her silver eyes wide with awe. You are unbelievable," she whispered. He shrugged, though he was clearly drained. "Just doing my job." "No," she said firmly. "This is more than a job. On Illyria, no one would dare approach death this way. Our people, we study danger, but we avoid it. We do not live it. You humans, you live it fully. And still, you smile, you joke, you endure." Ryan laughed softly, coughing into his sleeve. "We've had a lot of practice." Lyra shook her head. "No, it is more than practice. It is spirit. You are not merely surviving, Commander. You are thriving in the face of extinction. That is why your people are remarkable." For a long time, they sat in silence. Ryan felt the exhaustion, but there was a strange warmth in Lyra's presence. She was no longer merely a visitor. She was a witness to humanity's essence. The incident with the gas became the defining moment of her research. She sent a detailed report back to Illyria. Humans do not merely endure their world, they challenge it. They face death not out of ignorance, but out of courage. Their survival mechanisms extend beyond biology. They include spirit, morality, and camaraderie. No species I have studied demonstrates such holistic resilience. The report spread like wildfire across her home planet. Scholars, educators, and citizens debated the nature of humanity. They realized that humans' ability to live fully on a dangerous planet was unmatched. Meanwhile, on Horizon 5, Ryan recovered slowly. He was back on his feet the next day, moving among the Illyrian delegates with quiet strength. They greeted him with new respect, their eyes lingering with awe. Lyra stayed by his side. "Commander," she said softly, "today, I have learned more than I could have imagined. You did not just save lives, you taught lessons. To my people, to yourself, to the galaxy." Ryan smiled. "I didn't teach anyone anything. I just acted." She shook her head. "No, what you do, how you act in danger, that is the essence of humanity. Simple acts become legends when courage drives them." That evening, the station crew celebrated quietly. Humans and Illyrians shared stories of the gas leak, how everyone worked together, and how Commander Ryan led them through chaos. Lyra watched as humans laughed, joked, and even teased each other despite the danger they had faced. "This is what amazes me," she said to Ryan as they looked out over Earth. "You endure storms, fires, gas leaks, predators, and yet you find joy in living. Even after near death, you smile. Illyrians do not understand this. We cannot comprehend resilience as a lifestyle." Ryan looked at her, his tired eyes softening. "That's the secret. Life is too short to be afraid. You accept danger, you prepare for it, but you don't let it stop you from living." Lyra nodded. "Your morning rituals, even something as simple as milk, they are proof. It is not weakness to drink. It is strength. You embrace life, and in doing so, you endure more than any Illyrian could imagine. Ryan chuckled, despite the exhaustion. I guess milk really is heroic after all. The Illyrians began documenting the incident meticulously. Every human action was analyzed, how they had stayed calm, coordinated, and faced fear. Children on Illyria were shown holovideos of humans performing the rescue. The phrase milk drinkers face death without fear became popular in schools. Even Lyra's colleagues began calling her the observer of courage. Her research shifted focus. It was no longer about biology alone. It was about the human spirit. She started asking more personal questions. How humans handled loss. How they stayed hopeful in impossible situations. And why they continued to build despite threats from their environment. Ryan noticed the change. Lyra was no longer shocked by human customs. She now studied them with admiration. One afternoon, she asked, "Commander, do humans ever feel truly afraid?" "Of course," he said. "We feel fear every day, but we choose to act anyway. That is what separates survival from living."
Us.
She considered this. On Illyria, fear dictates every choice. We avoid it, deny it, control it. But your people, you honor it. You see fear as a guide, not a barrier, that is. Extraordinary. Days passed, and Lyra began joining human activities beyond observation. She walked through the exercise fields, attempted human training drills, and even helped with agricultural maintenance. Ryan watched, impressed at how quickly she adapted, while still maintaining her own grace. One evening, as the sun rose over Earth painting the sky in orange and gold, Lyra approached Ryan on the observation deck. "Commander, you have shown me something my world forgot. Survival is not just science. It is courage, kindness, and action." He smiled faintly. "Glad you finally figured it out." She laughed softly, her silver eyes bright. "I have much more to learn. But now, I see why humans thrive where others would fail. Not because of strength alone, but because of spirit." Ryan nodded, quietly proud. That's humanity. We drink milk. We build cities. We face death. And somehow, we keep smiling. Lyra studied him for a long moment. "You are truly remarkable, Commander. Perhaps. Your people are the galaxy's hidden strength." Ryan chuckled softly. "Guess the milk drinkers just saved the day again?" For Lyra, the gas leak had been more than a test of human endurance. It had been a revelation. She had seen humans face mortality and still act with selflessness and courage. She had learned that the simple rituals, like drinking milk, were only small windows into a much larger truth. Humanity's resilience was more than biology, it was spirit, culture, and an unwavering will to survive. That night, she wrote in her journal, "Humans are unlike any species I have studied. They face danger not because they are ignorant, but because they choose courage over fear. They laugh when the world burns. They build when destruction threatens, and they endure where others perish. Milk, food, or ritual they are." The station Horizon 5 had returned to normal after the toxic gas incident. Repairs were underway, systems tested, and the Illyrians had been thoroughly briefed on the emergency protocols. For most of the crew, the near disaster was over, but for Lyra, it had marked a turning point. She had seen the humans act in the face of danger. She had observed courage, resilience, selflessness, on a scale that her own people could hardly imagine that morning. Ryan walked toward the observation deck with a quiet sense of pride. The glass windows reflected the soft light of sunrise over Earth, painting the station in shades of gold and pink. Lyra was already there, gazing at the planet below, her silver eyes reflecting both curiosity and awe. "Good morning," Ryan said softly. She turned and smiled. "Good morning, Commander. Are you ready for another lesson in courage today?" Ryan chuckled. "I think I've already taught you enough." She shook her head. "No, today's different. Today, we share. I wish to understand more than survival or rituals. I wish to experience it." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Experience it? How do you mean?" Lyra held a small glass carefully in her hands. The liquid shimmered faintly in the sunlight. It was pale and almost milky, derived from Illyrian roots used in peace ceremonies. On Illyria, she said, "We drink this during rituals of understanding. It symbolizes trust and connection. I would like you to share it with me." Ryan looked at the glass and then at her. For a moment he hesitated, not because he doubted her intentions, but because he realized how symbolic this moment was. A simple act sharing a drink would unite their species in a way words never could. "I'd be honored," he said finally, taking a second glass she had set beside hers. They stood facing each other, two species divided by planets, biology, and culture, yet connected by trust and curiosity. Slowly, they raised their glasses and sipped together. The taste was subtle, sweet, and unfamiliar, but it carried meaning far beyond flavor. Lyra smiled softly. "This is more powerful than I imagined. On my world, we seek understanding through knowledge, but here, understanding is alive. It is acted, shared, and felt." Ryan nodded. "That's what humans do. We learn by living, by experiencing, by connecting." For a long moment, they stood in silence, watching Earth rotate beneath them. The station hummed quietly, and the sunlight spilled across the metal floors like molten gold. In that silence, they felt the weight of history, the enormity of what their species had discovered in each other. The Illyrians on the station had begun to notice the change in Lyra. She laughed more often. Her movements less formal, her curiosity transformed into genuine respect and warmth. She participated in human exercises, learned their basic language nuances, and even joined in small, casual tasks with the crew. The humans, in turn, had started to see her not just as a visitor or a subject of study, but as a friend. One afternoon, Ryan led her to the hydroponic gardens. The air was fragrant with growing plants, and the hum of machines created a rhythm almost like music. Lyra crouched beside a row of wheat, touching the stalks carefully. "On Illyria, we grow nothing like this," she whispered. "Your plants. They thrive in harsh conditions, yet they remain strong and productive. Like your people." Ryan smiled, watching her fascination. "Earth teaches lessons everywhere. You just need to know how to see them." She looked at him, a thoughtful expression on her face. "You do not only survive, you inspire. Illyrians will never forget what they have learned here, not from lectures, but from your actions." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "From my actions? I just did my job." "No," she said firmly. "You lived courage. You lived trust. You lived humanity. That is more than a job." Weeks later, the Illyrians prepared to depart. Their ships gleamed in the docking bay, engines humming softly. Delegates moved with their usual grace. Yet Ryan noticed a new deference in their eyes. They had learned to admire humans not for technology, weapons, or speed, but for resilience, courage, and the ability to face danger without fear. Lyra approached Ryan, carrying a small sealed container. "Before we leave," she said softly, "I wish to give you a gift. On Illyria, this is shared only during the highest ceremonies of peace. I wish to share it with you as a symbol of understanding and respect." Ryan took the container, intrigued. Inside was a pale, smooth liquid, the same one she had sipped with him on the observation deck. "I will share it," he said, "if you share our milk in return." She laughed softly, her silver eyes gleaming. "Agreed." They stood together once more, glasses raised. This time, it was more than ritual. It was acknowledgement, a bridge between species, worlds, and cultures. The exchange was simple, yet it spoke volumes about trust, courage, and unity. As the Illyrians boarded their ship, Ryan walked Lyra to the airlock. "You've changed how your people see us," he said. She smiled warmly. "And you have changed how I see the galaxy. Humans are fearless, and yet they are gentle where it counts. They find joy in small things, yet they face great danger. That is a lesson I will carry forever." Ryan nodded. "I hope you teach them well." "I will," she said. "But more than that, I will let them see the truth. The galaxy underestimates your kind. It should not. She stepped into the airlock, pausing briefly. Commander, thank you for showing me courage. Ryan watched as the airlock sealed, the Illyrian ship preparing to jump into hyperspace. Earth glowed beneath them, blue and green, full of storms and life. A planet that had forged human endurance for millennia. Alone now, Ryan returned to the observation deck. He looked out at Earth and thought of Lyra, her people, and the galaxy that had watched this simple yet profound exchange. A cup of milk had sparked understanding. Courage had bridged worlds, and the galaxy would never forget the lesson. Days later, back on Illyria, children were shown holo-videos of humans during the gas leak incident, highlighting how Commander Ryan and his crew had acted selflessly. Teachers spoke of courage in the simplest acts. Scholars wrote essays on resilience, and artists painted scenes of humans sharing drinks with aliens' milk and Illyrian liquids side by side. Lyra observed quietly, a soft smile on her face, her journal filled with notes of admiration. Humans do not merely survive. They embrace life in its fullest, act without fear, and care for each other in ways our world cannot comprehend. Simple rituals, like drinking milk, may seem trivial, but they reveal the essence of humanity: resilience, courage, and heart. Even among Illyrian adults, the story inspired reflection. They realized that survival was more than precaution. It required courage, kindness, and the willingness to face fear openly. Back on Horizon 5, Ryan sat at the same observation deck where he had first shared coffee with Lyra. He poured a fresh glass of milk. Watching Earth spin below, the station hummed quietly. Life continued, ordinary yet extraordinary, and somewhere in the universe, the image of a human and an alien sharing a drink had become a symbol, a story of trust, courage, and unity. Two worlds, once separated by fear and misunderstanding, had found common ground through a simple act of sharing. Ryan sipped his milk and smiled. Humanity had survived, thrived, and taught the galaxy that courage could exist in the smallest of gestures, even a morning cup of milk. Lyra's parting words echoed in his mind. Humans are fearless, and gentle where it counts. That is a lesson the galaxy should never forget. For the first time, Ryan understood that the smallest acts of life, the mundane, the ordinary, could become legends across worlds. Courage was not only in battles or wars, it was in living fully, acting selflessly, daring to share one's life with others, even across species and planets. And as Earth turned silently beneath the station, Ryan lifted his glass once more, toasting to life, to courage, and to the galaxy that had finally begun to understand humanity